I bought this Nintendo Switch tablet on eBay for $70, and since they're currently going for $250 to $300, I could make up to $200 if I can fix it. Let's do this. I like to start by plugging in the charge cable to see what the amperage and volts are that it's taking. That helps me determine what's going on inside on the motherboard. So we have 5 volts and 0.32, 0.44 amps. That's actually fairly normal amperage, but we have no charge symbol up here. Normally at this amperage, there'd be a charge symbol saying it's slow charging, but I don't see that, so I'm gonna take it apart and see what the motherboard looks like. All the parts and tools I'm using during this repair, including this little tool, are located on my Amazon affiliate shop, so you can go right there to buy anything you see here today. I'll put a link down in the description below if you want to purchase something for yourself. I'll be using a Y2.0 bit with this precision electric screwdriver, both available on my Amazon shop. Oh, and we've got a screw missing. This is not good news. That means someone else has been into it, probably tried to fix it, and probably couldn't. And there's a good chance they messed it up more while they were trying to fix it. This could be a video turning into how to lose $70 on eBay. But we're about to find out. I just have to get this cover off, then the metal plate off, and then we can get to the motherboard. Yeah, this is not good news. We've got some sort of liquid here. I'm gonna pretend this is milk because who knows what it actually is. I've got to get the rest of the screws out so then we can see how badly damaged the motherboard is. And here we go, are you ready? This is gonna look bad. Okay, not quite as bad as I thought. Although this is already smashed, I can see that. Definitely not as bad as I thought. Let's get this all off because this is gonna be a major problem right here, it looks like. I always remove the battery so there's no power flowing in the board while I'm doing the rest of this work. So with that zoomed in, you can actually see the edge of this connector right here. So this wasn't even close to being connected correctly. And there's a lot of messed up pins here and probably some messed up pins here. I'll take a closer look once we get the motherboard out and see if this is something we can fix or not. Whew! Wow, that is disgusting. This milk is just totally crusted on here. That is gross. Well, hopefully it didn't get too much on the motherboard. I have a feeling it probably did, but you never know. This LCD ribbon cable is usually one that gets damaged when liquid comes in here because it reaches this right here and then it just kind of like sits in here on the connections and corrodes them away. So let's have a look, see how bad it is. Actually, not that bad. I've seen a lot worse. So this actually might be okay too. Okay, time to get the motherboard out, and we can see what the real damage is on the underside. So you can see there's liquid all down here in the case. Didn't get too much further than this right here. Now let's check the bottom of the motherboard. Okay, not as bad as I thought it might be. I'm gonna get this under the microscope and see how bad this really is and if it's something we can clean or if it needs to be replaced. So here it is under the microscope. It's definitely gross and it definitely needs to be cleaned, but I don't actually see any pins that are so messed up that we can't get them working. So we might actually be able to clean this out and it might work just fine. This little probably capacitor right here is definitely pretty gross. We can test that later. Let's check this one. Same thing here, a lot of gross pins, a lot of nastiness in there, but I think we may be able to clean that all up. This chip right here has been broken off. That probably won't be a problem though, hopefully. I see nothing wrong with the charge port, and probably nothing wrong with this chip, the charge chip there. And these components here also look pretty good. Turning the board over, this is the area on the board that has so much damage. And this side of the board actually looks pretty good. So this board definitely has a good amount of damage, but I think it might be fixable. I have my fingers crossed. I'm gonna clean up the board and then we can test it some more. And also, just in case you haven't been grossed out enough today, this is what the game card slot space looks like. That is absolutely disgusting. So these two connectors are looking much better. I might need to do a little bit more cleanup on them, but I think they actually are gonna work fine. So I'm gonna test a few more components, do a little bit more cleaning, and then plug a battery in and see if we can get it to work. So here we have this capacitor. It's actually come away from the board, probably during cleaning, but that also means the joint was very weak to begin with. So I'm gonna go in and repair that, put some new fresh solder on it, and that should be ready to go. As you can see, this joint is very dirty, so I'm actually gonna have to take this component off, clean all of the pads and solder, and then put it back on. And here we go. It actually looks like I may have to replace this. I'll test it here once I get the rest of the board done and then replace it if necessary. That little capacitor over there didn't look good, but it tested fine. Now I'm gonna test to make sure the charge circuit is working. This capacitor should beep on one end and not beep on the other end. If it beeps, that indicates very little resistance to ground. So it beeps on one end, but not the other. Same with this one. Same with that one. Okay, those are all the same. Okay, so it looks like all of the charge circuit is working properly. Now I'm gonna plug it in and see if it goes to fast charging. So next I'm gonna plug in a known good battery, and then we will plug the charge cable in and see what our readings are. So this tells me the motherboard itself is working fine, so all of our repairs on the motherboard were good. But now I have to see if I can clean up that case enough to get it working. If not, I've got lots of shells and cases around here, so I can just put it in another one of those. So if I can't get it working in that one, I will put it in another one. So this game card reader is definitely bad. No question, that is just not savable. So I'll definitely need another one of those. All of the ribbon cables and everything else on this look fine. So I'm gonna try and clean all of this up, put a new game reader in, and then we'll see if that motherboard will work in this shell or if we need another shell. This is about as clean as I can get this for now. I'm gonna get a new game slot and put in here, then I'll put it back together enough to test and see if it'll work, but I'm not gonna keep it in here permanently. This one is just too gross. A lot of the liquid probably went down here, possibly behind the screen. So I don't want to use this if I'm going to be selling it or even using it myself. I definitely don't want to use this one, so I will put it in a new case once I'm done with the testing, but I just want to see if this one actually will work or not. This is the game slot I'm going to put in. It actually has been damaged itself. It was liquid damage as well, but it should be good enough to at least see if the rest of this switch works normally. There we go, it is together enough to test it. I'm gonna use this new battery so we can see right away if it turns on. We know it charges normally. This battery will need to be charged before it'll work fully. So I'm gonna try it with the new battery. You think it's gonna turn on? Let's test it. Come on. Oh, still nothing. We don't have a backlight even. Oh, here we go. So the charge symbol did come. There we go. It's starting up now. And there we go. So I was able to fix this very damaged Nintendo Switch. If you like this type of video, I'll put a link up on your screen for more Switch repair videos that I think you're gonna like. So come hang out with me over there if you wanna see more. I definitely didn't make the $250 to $300 I could have made. If it wouldn't have needed a new shell, then it probably would have been pretty close to that. But since I would have to replace the shell, that will take away from that. But I definitely still could have made a profit on this. Just the motherboard alone is probably worth at least $200. So I definitely beat the odds on this $70 broken eBay Nintendo Switch, which is definitely a nice change. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.